Thank God Ed Sheeran won. Hi guys, welcome to the Musical Show. I'm actually not wearing a onesie. I'm wearing something that doesn't look quite as shit. It does look quite as shit, doesn't it? Anyway, let's get over and on and on and on and on, all that. And yeah. Let's get on with this shit. Going quickly in. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 albums to talk about, and at the bottom of those is, to no one's surprise, if you knew what I thought of his last album, Summers' Ghost. Why? Just why? He sounds like Blade mixed with Yeet, and I mean that as the worst insult it could possibly mean. And despite that sounding interesting, because Yeet and Blade have unique sounds in the industry, he manages to make it sound so boring and he just sucks ass. And yeah, this is one of the worst rappers, artists I think I've ever listened to. Awful lyrically, the rapping was laughable, his voice sucks, and it's just a mess. There's the odd bearable song where like all of the ideas work, but like most of the time they just insanely suck ass. Apparently it was better in like a different genre. I don't know whether to believe that because but I probably do, because he can't have been much worse than this. So let's hope Summers gives up or becomes good quick, because at the moment he sucks all kinds of ass. 1.2 out of 10. Next up is Baby Rexha with Baby. I'm saying Baby like Baby, I don't know why, it's just funny. It just lacked personality, one of those pop albums that are just insanely boring and made and like produced for the radio. I mean, it has that fucking I'm good, yeah, I feel alright. And that song sucks all kinds of ass. But yeah, she has potential, and her vocals weren't too bad in most regions. The autotune did become annoying at points, but the features were awful. It had that awful David Guetta song, and some of the lyrics here were ridiculously bad. And even the good ideas on here were done in the most radio way possible. Real shame. She has potential, she just doesn't care, and made this album for MTV. 2.9 out of 10. Next is Homicide Gang with Snot on Her. Not really a fan of Rage personally, but this does something interesting, and there are a few actually good songs that sound genuinely angry. Most of it just sounds 8-bit and just there. And it never sounds as bad as most Rage does. It does succumb to Rage's shortcomings as a genre, in terms of it sounding too much like Carti and being lyrically just bleh. I want to resume his anthem, to be fair. And just being insanely repetitive in some parts and using the same formula that didn't sound good the first time, never mind the 587th million. However, they're not like Ken, who just mumbles and has the worst production ever. Ken Carson sucks ass. And it's not like Lone, who's just boring as fuck. It's actually kind of interesting. But, you know, I'm just not a fan of Rage. It's mid, 5.5 out of 10. Pig. Next up is The National with the first 2 pages of Frankenstein's, which did have his moments of quality and beauty, and the lyrics were decent enough. But Sufjan, I didn't really notice him in his feature, but Taylor was utilised to perfection in the way she was used as like a backing track and her little lines like on her own. You know, like that one bit of oh, what's the song called? It's the one with Bernie Vert of Folklore. It's the I think I've seen this film before. Exile. Reminds me of Exile a lot, as like The National and Taylor Swift had like one line and then one line and then one line and one line and one line after a certain point of the song. And yeah, it just sounded beautiful. And Phoebe Bridgers' backing vocals were also decent, but like it would have been cool to see her get a verse. But it's just nothing special. It's just sleepy and a bit boring in some parts. Almost every great moment is heavily inspired by something, to the point it sounds very similar to what it was inspired to, and it doesn't do anything interesting. And there are some parts that are just mid. Lyrically, vocally, there's just something mid about it. Nice listen, but nothing more than that. 7.5 out of 10. Next is Jackman, who, yeah, some of the flows maybe were a bit stolen, and the contrast between the chorus, "Ride for my dogs," and this is a gang, gang, gang. Oh yeah, Marcus, he sexually assaulted someone. That's literally basically what it was. We're a bit weird, and the acousticness of the beats were slightly repetitive in sections, which isn't the best considering it's only 24 minutes long, but Jack, I suppose, started to know his limits, as he isn't the best at basically anything. And maybe albums as short as this is how we'll make quality. Shame 90% of trap artists in the trap scene don't do this. They would make albums that could be on par with, say, this, and some of their respective potentials and talents. Like, Jack Harlow, as a rapper, is just not that talented. But he still made a decent project here. And, yeah. Lyricism was decent, but it was inconsistent. And, well, by his low standards, pretty decent. Let's just remember he was the guy who made that heart attack lyric on Chisel Down to think it was. And the beats were mostly decent enough. The gang, gang, gang beat was amazing. It does have clear flaws in every way. Jack Harlow does have a lot of improvement to do. Lyrically, in terms of rapping and performance-wise, and beat-wise, some were a little bit repetitive. Although he did show that he is improving rapidly with some of the beats here. But it does show that he has some potential, which is something we haven't seen yet. 8 out of 10. Maybe I was being a bit nice. Oh well, I'll probably re-review it and lower down the score, we'll see. That is one I will re-listen just in case I overhyped it a bit. Alright, next up is Baby Roses Through and Through, which is a great sort of indie pop album. But it was predictable and the features just didn't add anything, and I didn't even notice one of them. Vocally, it was passable, but it did have off points. Reminds me of Celeste if she was older. You know that you'll never stop this flame. I'll never let you go. That singer, that artist. But yeah, it had some great tracks like The Close of Power, and it definitely had some nice moments, and it was a great listen. But yeah, it's not the best thing you've ever heard, and it is slightly repetitive. But yeah, flawed, but still great. 8.1 out of 10. I'm quite lenient. Next up is Labyrinth with Ends and Begins, which just sounds like a Labyrinth album. Thankfully, it doesn't just sound like the Euphoria soundtrack in every song. Some songs do sort of cater to that sort of direction, but, you know, it just doesn't sound like a complete rip-off of just the Euphoria soundtrack, and it wasn't, like, boring. And, yeah, obviously great production. That does feel very Jack Antonoff in parts, which, in a good way. I'm pretty sure it's Jack Antonoff. Like, those drums, you know it's a Jack Antonoff beat by the drums. You just know what his drums sound like. Yeah. Beautiful album, because that's what Labyrinth goes for, with fantastic verses and beautiful backing vocals from Billie Eilish and Zendaya. Imagine Never Felt So Alone with Billie Eilish. That is an unbelievable song because of her and her fantastic performance on it. Some songs were predictable and some just slightly off. But great album nonetheless, with some incredible tracks. 8.4 out of 10. Next up is Jessie Ware with That Feels Good. Bangers vibes. And yeah, this was what people on TikTok would be calling a slay a few months ago, but no one says slay anymore. This shows why she's one of the best dance pop, sort of disco, funk pop artists there is out there. And well, these days anyway. The vocals were to die for, and if that was the way I was like guided to heaven with just her singing, I'd feel pretty happy. But yeah, production great, although some songs did feel a bit. Some songs were a bit formulaic and a bit, you know, boring and catering to radio. Hopefully you can hear me. Soz about all the dogs doing... shut up. Doing what dogs do. Well, my dogs do anyway. But yeah. Either way, not a single bad song. Every song banged. And lyrically it was decent enough. But it did have some strange moments. Freak Me Out was just a bit bleh. But yeah. Great album filled with bangers, and maybe one. And while it's not one of the best I've heard this year in terms of quality, it's one of the nicest listens I've had, and probably still like top 10 to 15. 8.7 out of 10. And finally at the top is, of course, Beach House. I love them. Become. Fantastic little EP. Some great dream pop on here, and it just shows their quality. But lyrically, it was a bit off in places, and it did miss the sort of charm that they have on tracks such as American Daughter. But yeah, beautiful EP, and Become is a fantastic track. It's Beach House. There was always going to be something good on there. 8.9 out of 10. Well, shame about that rude interruption from my dogs. But let's move on to the albums I'm listening to this week before I'll do my top 3 and my bottom 3. Because it's in the end of April. Well, it's May now. My birthday's on Sunday, by the way. If you want to wish me a happy birthday to not be a piece of shit. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 albums I'm gonna listen to this week. I've already listened to one of them, which helps because I've got a lot to listen to, obviously. But yeah, let's start off with Call Me the Machine with Won't He Do It, featuring Westside Gun, Westside Gun, Ransom, Goose, by the way. Oh, there's a song called Kanye on it. And Drayden Noor, Jay Skis, of course. Goose, by the way, again. Jozzy, who we've seen before, on a Kanye album. Dave East, Fabulous, Benny the Butcher, Goose, by the way. 7XVE, The Genius, Juicy J, and Source Walker. Nice feature list, 49 minutes long, 14 songs long. He's quality. He'll produce a quality album, but you sort of know what it will sound like. So, and it's also got a very weird album cover. Hi, here you go. This one of the dogs that was absolutely screaming before. I will grab him. Give you a little thingy. There's the boy. Alright, I'll put you down in a mo. This is the boy. He wants to be put down. Not in that way, obviously. I've made that joke before, but whatever. I'm not putting him down in that way. Don't worry. We're fine. But yeah, overall, you sort of know what it's going to sound like, and the genre it's in always gets an 8. So, 8. Moving on to... Hang on. Hugo's just left. Moving on to IDK with album F65, featuring NLE Chopper, Juicy Foot, Saucy Santana, Music Soul Child, Music Soul Child, Rich the Kid, Snoopy's, Benny the Butcher, and Music Soul Child again. I didn't know he was with that guy. I did quite like the album he did with Hit Boy, Victims and Villains. It's one of those albums that have stuck with me, even though I only gave it a 7. I don't know why it stuck with me, it just has. What I've heard has been pretty mid, although Benny the Butcher's Music Soul Child are going to provide decent features, although it's also got Rich the Kid and Snoop Dogg. I'm going to say a 6, just to be safe, although it could be more or less. We'll just have to see. Moving on to Armani White with EP Road to Casablanca, featuring Denzel Curry, A$AP Ferg, Fivio Foreign, Friday, Ludacris, Busta Rhymes, and NORE. How the hell did you get Ludacris or Busta Rhymes on here, Armani? 9 songs, 24 minutes long. I'm going to say 6. I could have easily gone for 5 out of 10, but 6. Yeah. Next up is not what I'm looking forward to. Again, I've already dissed in this episode. Destroy Lonely with If Looks Good, Kill. With a Ken Carson song on the bonus track. 26 songs, 1 hour 23 minutes long. Pray for me. It's, from what I've heard from other people, I don't have much to look forward to. I'm going to say a 3. And that's being nice. It could easily be lower. Next up, DC the Don. One of the few sort of, I don't know, rage. Is he really a rage artist? One of the few rage artists I like, if he counts as a rage artist. No features, 40 minutes long, 16 songs. From what I've heard, it's mostly been decent. I'm going to say 7. Next up is Ed Sheeran. He won with Subtract. He's only released a deluxe edition for some reason. It's got 14 tracks plus 4 bonus tracks that I'm not going to listen to because I cannot be arsed put myself through them. I'm going to say a 4 because he's not very good, and what I've heard is also not very good. But I feel like there could be a few gems in there, but just not enough. Hang on. That is a fire album cover. Jesus. I just realised the heart on it kind of looks like Ed Sheeran's face. That's fire. Shit. Apparently this is the end of his mathematics series. Although he could easily just come out with the quadratic formula in a few years, given he's not going to retire now. But yeah, not a fan of Ed Sheeran. Don't see this being good. Although, I'd like to be surprised. It would be cool to see him make a fire album. Next up is Billy Woods with Maps, with a collab mixtape with Kenny Seagal featuring Kel Chris, Danny Brown, Shrapnel, Elucid, Benjamin Booker, Samuel T. Herring, Aesop Rock, and Elucid again. 44 minutes long, 17 songs long. Pitchfork gave it an 8.9, which is a good sign that this could be like a fucking 10 or something. And it's also a good sign that it's Billy Woods, who is fucking fire. One of the best in the experimental rap scene. I'm going to say a 9. I've not given a 9. I have not given a 9 at all this month. But this will be the first one in quite a while, I'm pretty sure. Subtract is next with The Rat Road, featuring Tizo Touchdown, Toro E. Moy, Samford, George Riley, and Toro E. Moy again, Tizo Touchdown again, and Little Dragon. Don't know why I did that. 22 songs, 51 minutes long. I don't know what to expect. I feel like it's going to be like a sort of emo, rap, hyper pop weird thing with a few like R&B tracks. You Broke My Heart, but I'ma Fix It. That just stinks of some sort of Juice WRLD-ish song. You broke my heart, but I'ma fix it. I could just imagine him going over like a sort of trap beat with a song called that. I don't know what to expect, which are like the best albums when you don't know what to expect, because they're cool when you hear the first track and you find out what genre it's probably going to be in. I'm going to say a 5. No, a 6. It has a Samford feature, so... And that's a good sign. Fred again with Brian Eno on Secret Life. 44 minutes long, 11 songs. This will either be terrible or amazing. It's either going to be like a 3 or a 9. I can't put an actual number to that. It'll be one of those two. And the one I've already listened to is Jaleel with Real Raw. Another rage artist that I can actually bear. A lot of them are just trash. But 17 songs, 30 minutes long. A lot of short tracks on here. But I'm not going to spoil too much, but what I will say is that his producer tag is really annoying, and the novelty does wear off as the album goes along, because there's so many tracks. But it's still not bad. I'll give you that, because, I don't know, you might be thinking, oh, Jaleel, that's a cool name, I might want to listen to this, and I might as well say, yeah, it's not bad, go for it, just in case you, like, listen to it and it's fucking terrible, and, I don't know. If you're a Rage fan, go for it. But yeah, that is it. That's the albums. Suicide Boys dropped something as well, but I don't really care. I do need to start listening to their projects. I think it's just like an EP, so again, I don't care. And this isn't the week for me to start introducing listening to them when I'm already listening to 10 albums. Maybe next time. Suicide Boys will start listening to you, but I've just not had any reason to care. Anyway, there's also another quick thing I want to mention. Some other guy I follow on TikTok decided to make him an EP on SoundCloud called like Fish Theory. His name is Zell. I'll check that out as well. So 11 albums. So yeah, I'm defo not listening to Suicide Boys. Screw that. But yeah, that is it. Thank you for watching. I will see you next week where we go over this. After I do this, the top 3 albums and bottom 3 albums of April. So, top 3 and number 1. Well, it's mostly just EPs, to be honest. Number 1 is Become by Beach House, 8.9 out of 10. Number 2 is Brothers in Christ by Chappelle and Neva, also an 8.9 out of 10. And then at number 3 is That Feels Good by Jessie Ware, 8.7 out of 10. Just about beating Currency and Jermaine Dupri. That's already starting to grow off me a bit as well, that album. So I'll probably re-listen. Well, is it really an album? That project, so I will probably have to re-listen and see if it has grown off me a lot. Bottom 3 is Higher Than Heaven by Ellie Goulding, and 1.9 out of 10. Then you've got Summers with Ghost, 1.2 out of 10. And at the bottom, the worst album of the year so far, Hope by NF, 0.5 out of 10. And to be honest, I don't see how any album is going to be worse than that. Well, it just a reminder that Hope in the US has sold more than every Don Toliver album and every Playboi Carti album. I don't know how the fuck he did that. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Hopefully all these albums are good and I'll be bringing positive reviews. But yeah, I've looked at what's coming out this month. There's really not much apart from a K-Tramine, which is a Amine and K-Tra something collab album. I don't even know that guy's name, so... What? I won't know. I cut that bit. But yeah, it's not much to look forward to this month, so hopefully after this will be a bit of a breeze and I won't have as much to listen to, because that's always nicer and gives me less of a workload. I love listening to music, but not 10 albums. I can do it and I'm fine with it, but like it's better when you have less. Thanks for watching in a bit.